episode 3. Let's get it. Hello and welcome to the RoseGlassKnits podcast. My name is Laurel, and as per usual, we're gonna just jump right in with what I'm wearing. So today I am wearing the Shift Cowl by Andrea Mowry, and it's a sport weight cowl knit up in Spincycle dyed in the wool using the mosaic motif that Andrea Mowry has used in a few patterns. She has a pullover, a cardigan, a shawl, a hat, I believe. She might have smaller accessories too. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know she has those items. And it's a really kind of addictive motif. It's really simple to work. As I mentioned, it's mosaic knitting. So it creates this really nice color work look, but you're doing that with slip stitches. So you're never carrying 2 yarns at the same time. Each row is just one color, and the way that she puts together those slip stitches creates these really cool like little blips of different color. So definitely a pattern I think is worth checking out. It's really easy to memorize. It's very meditative. I have knit the Shifty sweater twice at this point. And in fact, I think the first sweater I ever knit was a Shifty. So I have a very special place in my heart for those patterns. I do have some yarn that I picked up at Rhinebeck last year to make one of the night shift shawls, which is the full-size shawl in this motif. And I am like really excited to make it. I have quite a few shawls actually in my queue right now, but that is one that I definitely want to get on my needles sooner rather than later. So highly recommend any of her like Shifty patterns. They're super fun, and you know, she uses Spincycle for her patterns, for the Shifty patterns, and I highly recommend them because you know, the way that the colors shift along with this motif, it creates a really cool effect. So the colors that I used for Spincycle dyed in the wool for my cowl are, we're kind of looking at the background colors here, so like the darker colors. I have Shades of Earth, and then Rosy Maple, and then the light blue is Dead Reckoning. And I actually picked up those yarns at a local yarn shop in Minneapolis, near Minneapolis. I took a road trip there about 2 years ago with my mom because I love prints so much. And actually we went to Paisley Park and that was really cool. So this is kind of a nice little like souvenir, if you can call it that. But yeah, I really love it, and it makes me think of that trip, and it was a really fun trip. So that is what I'm wearing. And then let me show you what I've been working on. The first one is no surprise. It is my Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Maed Designs. And this is just a pretty basic stockinette raglan sweater, just like the name says. I am knitting mine in, I have some balls behind me, the Knitting for Olive Merino in Poppy Rose and the Soft Silk Mohair in Rose Clay. Holding these two together is creating the really pretty kind of marled muted peach that you see here. And I am on Body Island. I'm just knitting stockinette in the round. I think the pattern calls for 11 inches from the split for the sleeves down to the hem before you start the ribbing. I'm probably going to shorten that by an inch. I'm going to do like 10 inches of the stockinette and then do the ribbing. Again, just because your girl's got a short torso. And then sleeves are also stockinette. So it's a really easy pattern to just pick up, and I can multitask with it. And I find that I'm just kind of flying through it faster than I anticipated because it is fingering and mohair held together. That is that's a combination that I would think would be kind of slower going, but because it's so simple, it's kind of going by a little bit more quickly. So I'm enjoying it. I really can't wait to actually have this garment. the combination of yarns, it's very soft, but it's also very light, so it'll be great for layering. And I also think that it'll be great to pair with like skirts or even over some of my summer dresses to kind of help them transition into colder months. But yeah, I'm really into it, and of course that's my color palette. You guys know that I love my peachy pinks, so very excited about that project. And then I have also been working on, here we go, the Salty Days sweater. So I know last time I had talked about a few different things that I could cast on, and I wasn't sure what I was going to cast on. I decided to go with the Salty Days, and the reason for that is I liked the idea of having a sweater knit in a bulkier yarn. This is a worsted weight yarn, and I'll go into details here in a second, but I knew that it would be a little bit faster going than the other sweater that I'm working on, and I wanted something that wasn't another kind of just easy knit. Like, I wanted something that had a little bit more interest, and I actually had to turn my brain on to work on it. So I decided to go with this guy. Right now you're probably looking at it like, what is that? That's not a sweater. But you start knitting the back panel, and then you pick up at the shoulder, the left shoulder, and then you pick up at the right shoulder, and eventually you'll join the shoulders in the front and you'll start working in the round. So I have, this is mostly, it's kind of hard to show because I've got my little cord holding the stitches, so it's a little bunched up, but the back panel and then the left shoulder panel that's also on hold. For the most part, all I've done is ribbing, but there's a little bit of the lace panel kind of at the bottom of this back panel, if you can see that. It's the really pretty diamond lace motif. But yeah, I'm really enjoying working on this. It is going pretty quickly. This is only like 2 days of work. I haven't had a chance to work on it too much, but because it's in a worsted weight yarn, of course it's going a lot quicker than, you know, my other project. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. The yarn for this is the Good Karma Yarn and Soap is the brand, and there's not a name for this base. It's just their, I think it's Merino alpaca, wool alpaca, worsted weight, and the shade is Texas Green, which is this really pretty sort of variegated green. I really love this color. And I do find that the variegation in the yarn creates a little bit of like texture and interest, but it's not so much that you completely lose the lace work in it. Sometimes when you have those yarns that are really colorful and there's a lot of different tones in it, you can kind of lose some of that. So I really like the way this is working up. It's super soft, super squishy. I can tell that this is something that I'm going to really enjoy wearing. So that is the beginning of the Salty Days that we've been talking about since episode 1. And I'm so happy to actually be working on it and that it's working out and I'm making gauge, and you know, it might have been doomed, but we saved it. We saved it at the 11th hour. So I have one future plan to show you guys. Of course, last episode I talked about a few projects that are very high up on my queue. I'm going to be working on them very soon, but because it was Rhinebeck weekend this last weekend, I went to my local yarn shop, which is Coast to Coast Yarn Co. Shout out to Erin and Aaron. I absolutely adore their store, and I took one of my friends with me. We went yarn shopping on Saturday, I believe. I could be wrong. My days all kind of run together. I just got off work. I just worked an overnight shift, so my brain is like not quite there. I'm a little tired. But I took my friend with me and I let him pick out yarn for the Folklore Ruffle Top by Fable Knitwear. I stumbled upon these patterns from Fable Knitwear. I was looking for a lower yardage project to use up some stash that I don't have like a sweater's quantity of. And she had some really cute vests, and I think vests are a great way to use some yarn and make a garment. And I was just so like enamored with the vibes. It reminds me a lot of the Anita sweater that I talked about last week, where it's just very romantic, very feminine, and there are definitely pieces that I think I would love to have in my wardrobe. Like, they're just so beautiful. So we picked out yarn for that. It is not going to be jumping onto my needles right away, but I wanted to treat myself to a little bit of yarn because I was having serious FOMO for Rhinebeck. I've only been able to go once. It was last year. It was amazing. I would love to go back again sometime soon. And definitely, if you got to go to Rhinebeck, let me know how it was. Did you love it? Did you have the best time? Because I really loved it. So let me grab the yarn. Okay, so for the main color for this top, it's a really beautiful mohair, and it creates this really gorgeous fabric. It's just mohair, so it is kind of sheer, but I just think it's so pretty. The color that he picked for that is very out of my wheelhouse. It is Dusty Aqua and the soft silk mohair from Knitting for Olive. This is a gorgeous color. I mean, the name Dusty Aqua is perfect. I couldn't describe it any better. But yeah, I really love it. I have a similar color of yarn for a project that I'm planning to work on for my mom. And I keep kind of catching glimpses of the yarn in my stash. And every time I do, I'm like, maybe I should knit something for me in that color. But yeah, this is kind of my nudge to actually do it. And I'm excited to see how this looks knit up with just the mohair where it's kind of sheer. I think it'll be really, really pretty. So this is the main color that he picked out. And then for the accent color, I'm not sure that I'm going to go with what he picked out, but I will show you. He picked out the Merino from Knitting for Olive in blood orange, and it's giving complementary colors. So what I'm thinking is I might actually use this to do the floral embroidery that she has along the neckline, and then for the ribbing, I might use something similar to this mini skein that I have. I don't think this is not going to be enough for all of the ribbing. I don't think. But I have another skein of fingering weight yarn in a very similar color to this, kind of caramel brown. I just don't know where it's at the moment. It's hidden away in a project bag somewhere. I just need to dig it out and find it. But I'm thinking that this is going to be kind of the color story of the top, and then the little flowers in this orange. I think that that would be really, really pretty. So I think that's what we're going to go for. Of course, I have some time to think about it, because I've got a few other things that I want to get finished first, but that is what I picked up from the local yarn store. And then my just random mini, I think this came with a Farmer's Daughter Fibers Sock Squad. It doesn't have a label or anything with it, but I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. But yeah, these are my colors that are very outside my wheelhouse. But yeah, that is really all I have to share with you. It's kind of a shorter episode, but that's okay. I'm very, very tired, like I mentioned, so I'm gonna go get some sleep. But I will plan to see you back here in 2 weeks for another podcast episode. I do also have another kind of bonus video coming up talking about some projects that are unfortunately destined for the frog pond, and we'll talk a little bit about what the yarns might become, maybe what they're meant to be, since they're not meant to be what I currently have them knit into. But I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much for taking the time to come check out this video. I hope to see you again. Bye.